Coming to you live from the White Picket Studios in Houston, Texas, this is the Realty Ruckus. If you are in any way, shape, or form involved in the real estate industry, this is the show for you. And now, your host, Alan Hernandez.
Good morning, Houston. How's everybody doing today? Thank you for joining us today at Realty Ruckus. Don't forget that you can text us. Now you can text us at our new Twitter handle, which is at Realty.
That's called tweet us, Alan.
I'm sorry. You can tweet us at the new Twitter handle. See, I'm not really good at this whole social media thing, which is pretty interesting now that I see zombies walking around. See, it was bad enough already, and my wife calls me out on it. She's like, "You're on your phone all the time." So I put on this app on my phone that tells me how long I've used certain apps, right? And so once I've reached that maximum, I'm done. I don't touch those apps anymore. Yeah, so that's helped me a lot. But then yesterday we went running. Brandon and I went running at Memorial Park, and there were actual people walking the park just doing this thing, just doing this. And so I couldn't figure out what was going on.
Who can't see Alan, he's looks like a zombie right now, staring at his phone.
I mean, essentially, like, how do you go to a park and just walk and do this the whole time? I can't figure out what's happening.
It's the phenomenon, man.
So then Brandon goes on to tell me, by the way, Brandon is my assistant. He's 20 years old, and he is like my liaison to whatever is happening in social media and pop culture, right?
Because he's on to what's happening in social media
and pop culture. Because if it wasn't for him, I would know nothing, right? So he finally tells me that it's something called Pokemon Go.
You gotta catch them all.
And you gotta catch them all. And I have no clue what that means. I have no idea. But there are people walking around the entire city like zombies catching Pokemon.
It's pretty amazing, man. I went out to walk my dog last night, and I'm out walking, and I'm looking around like, where the hell did all these people come from? Who are these people? I've never seen any of them. And I ran into this one guy, and he's a bigger guy. He probably weighs almost close to 300 pounds. And I go, man, what's going on? He's just staring down at the ground at his phone. And he's like, hey, there's a lot of Pokemon in this area.
Man, where is it at? Let me know. I got to get there.
Right next to Greenway Plaza.
You're on Pokemon Go already.
Dude, I'm a Pokemon master.
Then I talked to this guy, and I'm like, oh, so you're playing a Pokemon game? He's like, yes, this is the greatest game ever. And I was like, well, what makes it so good? He goes, well, I really hate to exercise.
No.
And I said, yeah, I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
And he goes, but yesterday, I walked 6 kilometers playing Pokemon. It's amazing, man.
If Pokemon Go is going to get people to actually get up and walk around, then I guess it's not a horrible thing.
My wife and I took a Poke Walk yesterday night. Yep.
Are you listening to this?
We went
Are you guys catching
Pokemon,
this?
Went to a Poke Stop.
This guy just called it a Poke Walk.
Hey, we got out there and we did some exercise.
I didn't realize it had a name already, man.
There's
I
Poke Walks.
I coined it.
Poke what? Poke Walk. Poke
the
Stop.
The Poke Stop is actually in the game.
Okay.
You go there to get items.
That's a legitimate term.
Exactly. Yeah.
What happens when you catch a Pokemon? What do you do with it?
You take them to a gym and you train them and you fight them.
Yeah.
And then there's different locations that are gyms, so you have to.
Ray, do you know what the heck we're talking about?
No, but can I use this for open houses?
Will it bring people?
It's become so popular that it's starting to kind of spill over into realtor jokes as well, where you're seeing these fake listings where it says this house for sale, Poke gym around the corner, two Poke stops nearby.
Is there a way for me to put a Pokemon in a house? Is that possible?
Sometimes they're in backyards. Like we were catching some Pokemon and a lady stopped and said, "Are you guys all right?" And yeah, we're just catching some Pokemon. We were staring into her backyard.
I cannot believe it. It's hilarious. All of this came about because Brandon sent over some email saying that some kid had gotten jumped for his phone because he was playing Pokemon Go, and I didn't believe it. I thought it was just completely made up. And before we knew it, he was downloading it, and now you guys are all in it. You guys are big giant.
I'm not.
In his defense, I downloaded it first. He's giving me the signals. He's like, no, you did it first. Yeah, I did do it first.
Because he doesn't want to be called the biggest nerd in the office.
I get too addicted. Yeah. If I had downloaded it, I'd have like probably 100 Pokemon by now.
I'm not going to download Pokemon Go, so I will not join you guys on that nerdiness of level. And
Well,
so,
you haven't joined Twitter either, so that
I
doesn't
am on
surprise
Twi-
me.
I'm on Twitter. I'm on Twitter. You guys don't know that, but I do have a Twitter
Somebody
account.
tweets for him, but he's on Twitter.
Somebody tweets for me. I don't know who, but people do tweet for me.
So what is Twitter?
Oh boy, here we go. By the way, guys, we have Ray Sassar joining us today. Thank you, Ray, for being with us today. We are in for a phenomenal show. We have a lot to talk about, and we brought in the master of masters to tell us all about what's happening in today's market, and he has done some phenomenal research on this. When we get back here in just a little bit, he's going to tell us all of what went into doing this research that he did. Hours and hours and hours and days and days and days, I'm sure. Right, Ray?
Weeks even.
Weeks and weeks and weeks of just going into data, which nobody likes to do, but Ray went ahead and did all of us the favor, and he's going to tell us all about what's happening in today's market, what's selling, what's not selling, hot areas. You guys really need to stick around for this information because this is going to help your businesses grow. We'll be right back.
Hey Houston, this is Alan Hernandez, and I want to remind you guys to visit our friends over at Quest IRA to learn everything there is to learn about investing with your IRA. Now, if you haven't been over there recently, you have to check them out. They have free educational classes, networking opportunities, the ability to tap into $1 billion for your real estate investing deals. These are the guys to know when it comes to learning about this kind of stuff. You want to make sure you visit them and check them out over at www.questira.com. Again, that's questira.com.
Hey everyone, this is David over at White Picket Realty, and I wanted to tell you about my friends over at Plans Express who can save you the headache of running your own permits. These guys are committed to offering a one-stop solution for all your plan and permit needs. They're proudly serving their friends and neighbors in the Houston surrounding areas, and they offer great service and an exceptional value. With dedicated professionals ready to serve, contact them today at 832-675-6217.
Hey, Houston real estate agents. This is Alan Hernandez, broker at White Picket Realty. I want to let you know that when you're ready to stop working your real estate career and start building a real estate business, Team WPR is a place to be. Not only do we offer real results, real support, and real branding, but furthermore, 80 to 100% commissions of your hard-earned money going back to you. So make sure to reach out to us. Join at teamwpr.com. Again, that's join, JOIN, at teamwpr.com.
Hey everyone, this is David with the House Flipping Network, and if you're like a lot of people, you're probably daydreaming right now about getting to fire your boss. Let me tell you about an exciting opportunity for you to do just that. If you've been looking to get into real estate investing or flipping homes, the House Flipping Network provides coaching and consultation services for people looking to grow a real estate investment business. If you're interested in more information, please reach out to me at david@houseflippingnetwork.com.
And we are back on the Realty Ruckus. David, how's the weather look out there?
For all my Pokemon masters out there taking Poke Walks today, it's going to be high 90s. Stay cool out there. Got to catch them all, baby.
Thank you, David, for letting us know about the Poke weather. Now, we want to talk a little bit today on the market and what it's doing. And the first thing I want to tell you guys is when I got into real estate in late 2006, there was a couple names that I remember hearing a lot. One of which was Ray Sassar, and I remember, even then, Ray, you were everywhere, man. You are everywhere. I think I just saw you in the Houston newspaper. Didn't I see you?
Yeah, Houston
Didn't
Chronicle.
I see you featured on there?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Talking about what were you talking about? Something about the market, actually.
Yeah, what was happening in the market, and when they interview you, you don't really have any idea how they're going to write it up. So
Yeah.
I was real nervous until they came out, but she did a real good.
That was a
job.
good picture too. They had you in a
Yeah, they
garage
came
or
out,
something.
took pictures at a house we were doing a punch out on, so it's pretty cool.
That's awesome, man. So the thing that I thought was interesting about you when I first heard about you is that you were out there actually doing what most investors want to do or talk about doing. You were out there flipping houses and
Right.
in high quantities, making money on those, and then being really well versed on the other stuff. How did you get first? Let's go back. How did you even get started in this business? I mean, you've been in this business for a while now.
Yeah. So, and just talking about buying houses, we bought 9 houses last week, which is our biggest week house deal that we've ever done. So
Nice.
yeah. And I believe in this market. We just want to be smart moving forward. But the way I started was in 82. I went to Robert Allen, Nothing Down. And it turns out he's not a heavyweight, but he was enough to get me motivated. And then we went out just driving neighborhoods, and we saw a big burned out house, and we bought it. And boy, did I learn a lot of lessons in that deal.
And what were you doing before that? I mean, were you working like a corporate job, or?
Yeah, I worked for Burroughs. After I got out of the service, I went to work for Burroughs, and I worked from there from 78 to 88. And I bought that burnout in 82. And then from 82 to 88, we bought about 20 more houses. And then I quit in 88. And ever since then, I've been doing this full time.
Man, that's awesome. So you really did the dream that everybody else is looking for. You came in 6 years and you say, I'm leaving my corporate job and it's time for me to go on and do this full time.
And I didn't do it, every time we always talk about teams. I didn't do it by myself. I had my brother was my partner and he kept his job.
Hey, sounds familiar.
Yeah. So, I mean, you got to have people that believe in you, and you just can't let them down and work hard.
Yeah. So your first flip was a burn down.
Oh yeah. We bought it from a lady and her boyfriend attorney. He out negotiated me. We paid too much. The market was crashing, so we spent way too much money, and then we couldn't get permanent financing after we finished the construction. Lots of lessons. We had contractors pulling permits and then not finishing the job and ripping us off. We learned everything, just about everything we needed to know on the very first deal.
That's usually the way it goes.
There's a happy ending to that. We kept that house 27 and a half years. We turned it into a triplex, and we had one tenant the whole time. So we had one tenant for 27 and a half years.
Amazing.
Yeah, we learned it was by U of H, so we learned a lot about renting to students, and actually don't do that unless you're doing it right. And we weren't.
You hear that, Brandon? Brandon wants to rent one of my houses. He and his buddies.
Oh, is he a student? Is he a student?
He's a student.
He's done.
Disqualified. Yeah, done.
Yeah.
Not even considering.
You could do it if you do it right. We just didn't do it right. But we learned a lot. Learned a lot about rehabbing. And I said I would never do another fire damage job after that. And for about 2 or 3 years, I didn't. And then we got another opportunity. And since then, we've probably done 60 or 70 just fire damage houses. Yeah. And I would have never done that if I wouldn't have been stupid enough to do that first job.
Sometimes you have to go through those to learn about what's right and what's wrong. I remember, our first flip, we talk about it a lot, and how horrible of an experience that was. And it took us, I just sold it this year. So 10 years before we sold it, and it was a great experience in the long run. But yeah, that one house will teach you everything. And for you people out there that are watching, guys, that's the one thing that you have to do is just take action and learn from your mistakes. And I think that was the biggest thing that house taught me.
Well, I think it's pretty awesome because it was a failure. I mean, essentially it was in the beginning, and they turned it into a positive, but they didn't stop. They kept going, perseverance.
You just don't stop. You lose when you quit.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's a decision. Mm-hmm. That's all it is.
And I've heard so many people who they've done that one deal and it's left that sour taste in their mouth, and they're like, nope, I'm done. I don't want to be in this industry anymore. Yep. And there's a light at the end of the tunnel. It just takes a while.
Going.
Yeah.
You just got to keep going. Yeah. So since then, you've flipped hundreds and hundreds of houses. You have a rental portfolio. Now you actually coach people along with Linda. Right. And what is life like now for you? What are you focused on mainly?
It's more of the same. We're just gotten a lot smarter and we're a lot busier. Mm-hmm. And I'm learning how to finally delegate stuff. That's the hardest thing to do, is just let things go. But we all only have so much bandwidth. The other thing I'm learning is that I see other people that are starting, and you see the things that they're doing exactly like what I was doing. I mean, I was putting trusses on top of that roof on January 1st. And it was 24 degrees. And I thought, I don't want to do this anymore, but we don't want to do that. You don't want to work for $8 an hour when you can do smarter things and learn how to market and learn how to get leads. And then you can really start making money. And
exactly.
We stay in our comfort zone, and we can't do that. We got to get out of our comfort zone.
Definitely. So you decided to put on a report because you're gonna be in an event. Is it tonight?
Yeah. The Carback Brewery. I think
so the idea of the whole event is for you to update real estate investors, realtors, and like to update them on what exactly is happening in
Right.
today's market. Right?
Right.
So you had to do some research for that. I mean, what all goes into putting a progress or a report like that together?
I try to do it a couple times a year, and it takes me about 20 hours to do it. And I did it for a group, the Rich Club. I did it for them once a quarter for a while. And what really prompted me to want to do it was in 2007 when we had basically a real estate, depression.
Mm-hmm.
My net worth went down 50%. And
Oh,
the only
wow.
thing that saved us was that the rents didn't change.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm just lucky. I mean, we were able to survive. I couldn't sell the houses, but we had houses that we had income, so we were doing good. That we were also fixing houses up and selling them, and so we were doing pretty good with that. But then when that market changed, we didn't change, and so we need to be ahead of the curve, or we at least need to know when something's changing. We need to know it's changed.
Exactly. And
So-
by knowing this information, you can stay ahead
Yeah.
of the
So
curve.
I'm going to be focused on knowing this for the rest of my life, and I think everybody should.
Very good. When we get back, we're going to share some of those insights with you guys. Make sure you stay tuned.
We'll be back on the Ruckus.
Hey Houston, this is Alan Hernandez, and I want to remind you guys to visit our friends over at Quest IRA to learn everything there is to learn about investing with your IRA. Now, if you haven't been over there recently, you have to check them out. They have free educational classes, networking opportunities, the ability to tap into $1 billion for your real estate investing deals. These are the guys to know when it comes to learning about this kind of stuff. You want to make sure you visit them and check them out over at www.questira.com. Again, that's questira.com.
Hey everyone, this is David over at White Picket Realty, and I wanted to tell you about my friends over at Plans Express who can save you the headache of running your own permits. These guys are committed to offering a one-stop solution for all your plan and permit needs. They're proudly serving their friends and neighbors in the Houston surrounding areas, and they offer great service at an exceptional value. With dedicated professionals ready to serve, contact them today at 832-675-6217.
Hey, Houston real estate agents. This is Alan Hernandez, broker at White Picket Realty. I want to let you know that when you're ready to stop working your real estate career and start building a real estate business, Team WPR is a place to be. Not only do we offer real results, real support, and real branding, but furthermore, 80 to 100% commissions of your hard-earned money going back to you. So make sure you reach out to us. Join at teamwpr.com. Again, that's join, JOIN, at teamwpr.com.
Hey everyone, this is David with the House Flipping Network, and if you're like a lot of people, you're probably daydreaming right now about getting to fire your boss. Let me tell you about an exciting opportunity for you to do just that. If you've been looking to get into real estate investing or flipping homes, the House Flipping Network provides coaching and consultation services for people looking to grow a real estate investment business. If you're interested in more information, please reach out to me at david@houseflippingnetwork.com.
And we are back on the Realty Ruckus. We have Ray Sassar in studio today, and he's sharing with us the state of the market, which is a report that he puts in several hours, about 20 hours putting this together. And it's to give us all an idea of where we're going, what's the market doing, is it a good market, is it a bad market? I know a lot of people ask that question. And he'll be presenting the full report tonight at Carbach Brewery, but here on the Realty Ruckus, he's giving us an exclusive first look at it.
So we have a real interesting scenario here. For example, in our investments, in our investment properties, we see a slowdown in some markets. We see some of the higher end stuff slowing down. Stuff that we thought originally should have sold really, really fast is actually going in the opposite direction. Some of that had to do with some of the things that happened that we couldn't control, like the flooding issues that we had. Which one of the questions that we just got from one of our members, HFN, is about that. So I want to make sure that before we leave today, we cover what's going on with those flood houses. Before we get to that, I'd like to actually know what your thoughts are on the markets that are performing and what markets maybe we should stay away from. So do you have like a list, or how did you put it all together?
Yeah, well, I went out and made a list and just looked at how values were going and how sales were going. And there's basically 50 highlighted areas in MLS. And so we went through there, and then we got the data, and then we actually ran a few formulas to just because they don't give us the data the way we want it. So we ran a few formulas and came up with that. And if you want, we can go through maybe 4 or 5 of those.
Yeah,
Okay.
give me like
Well, let's look at Katy North. The
Okay.
5-year appreciation on Katy North is 70%.
Wow.
Okay. That year over year for last year was 22%.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
That is just an outrageous
Amazing.
growth.
Yeah. And so a lot of what we're doing is if we buy it if you would have bought that at retail and sat there and got that appreciation, that would have been a killer investment. Whereas if you'd have bought something in Galleria, the year over year rate of return is not a negative 9%.
Wow.
And what we're finding, what you'll see, there's a trend in here. And if the higher the value is, the faster it's decaying.
look at that.
Okay, so what made sense in the $400,000 price range or $500,000 price range a year ago or 2 years ago doesn't make sense now.
Mhm.
What that market segment that was 100 to 150,000, there and even 250 is going through the roof.
Mhm.
But so we got to look at, and Galleria over 5 years, it's been a plus 30%, but last year was negative 9. So that's why I do this, because I want to say, look, I'm not going to work in that area unless it's just a great deal. Instead of 85 cents on the dollar or 80 cents on the dollar, it better be 65 cents on the dollar.
That's right, because you know what's going to happen to it. You
Yeah.
know you're going to lose that 9% this year. So if you're paying 85
Right.
cents on a dollar, you actually paid 95.
Right. And what's going to happen too is that when I really got going in 85, 86, the market was collapsing all around us. And I never even understood any of this because I was buying property right.
Mhm.
And at that time I was holding on to them. But if you have a different strategy, you need to know it. If your goal is to buy this and turn around and sell it, we need to know what it's going to do.
Absolutely.
So we just bought a house in the Woodlands that we're in it for a little bit over 250. Its ARV is 500. Now that I understand what's happening in the Woodlands, I'm not going to be monkeying around with that property. We're going to get in it. We're going to get out and be done. It's going to
Is
be high
that
priority.
because the Woodlands is slowing down?
Because
Is that what
it's-
you're seeing?
Yeah, we think the Woodlands area is slowing down. It's not bad. It's not like the area we just talked about, but
Not like Galleria.
Yeah.
Which is funny because when you speak to realtors out there, and this is true, you talk to a realtor, you have a realtor show you a property in the Galleria, and one of the first things they're going to tell you is, "Oh, it's the Galleria. You never lose value. It's always appreciating."
Right.
That's actually one of the things realtors want to talk about, but I think the problem is they don't actually know the stats behind this. They don't actually see it firsthand. So unless you're in this and you're doing the research and you're buying houses in that area, you don't get a chance to really see what's happening. So, all right. So we have Katy North doing amazing. We have Galleria kind of taking a little
Right.
bit of dive. What else surprised you from your list?
Well, and just to kind of just add one thing to that, Alan, in the Woodlands, what do you hear when somebody says the Woodlands? They say Exxon.
Yeah.
So then we got to know the truth. What is the truth? And that's what a realtor would say, Exxon. Well, we got to look at that. And so I specifically looked at Woodlands because I wanted to see, okay, is there some truth to it? And you can go back and you can see that there was speculation. And when Exxon was coming in, the prices went real high. So it was actually overbought. And now the prices are not growing at nearly the same rate that they were in, say, 2012 and 2013.
Right.
So just looking through here, if you look at Spring Branch, which we recently sold a lot over there for $400,000, which is kind of mind blowing.
Mm-hmm.
But in Spring Branch, if I was a flipper, I might still be going full guns over there, just try to tie stuff up without liability.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the last 5 years, the appreciation rate for that area is 96%.
Look at that.
And the last year is 12%. So that it looks like it's
Wow.
still strong, but it's slowing down.
Yeah.
It did slow down a little bit. We had a house out there that didn't sell quite like we wanted it to, but there was some other lessons to learn on that one. That one was on a busier street,
Right.
and the house didn't quite conform to the neighborhood. So we made a decision to overpay for that one just because we saw the appreciation in the area, and then for whatever reason it didn't quite meet our expectations. So we didn't.
Conforming property is everything. When it starts being non-conforming, you better be careful.
You know what's crazy about that one? It was non-conforming in the sense that the windows on the front of the house were round instead of square like all of the other houses.
Right.
It was the one house that stood out because of that, and we tried to embrace that and there was a few key people that liked it, but a lot of people that were like, well, we don't like the curb appeal. What else did you find? So Spring Branch is still doing all right. We got about a 12% increase.
Yeah, and the Woodlands, just the numbers on that over 5 years, 26%. Last
awesome.
year, -1%.
So would you say overall that some of these higher end areas are starting to just stabilize, you think?
No.
What are you
higher
thinking?
end areas are not stabilizing.
Where are you seeing them going?
I think that the high paying jobs that comes from the oil business, those people, they probably tried to keep their small companies afloat as long as they can. A lot of these people are very wealthy, but they move. We looked at a property last year where it was worth $2 million. The guy wanted $800,000 for it, and he moved out of that house into another house he had that was worth $300,000. But that was his way of staying afloat. He was basically cashing in the house. As investors, that's what we do. A house is a bank account that has money in it.
Yeah.
Right. If you need money, 2007, we reached out there, and in 2008, we'd take a house out of our bank account, basically sell it at a discount, but that's how we generated cash, even though we had a break-even cash flow on our rentals. So that's what these high-end earners are doing. They're taking their assets and they're selling their assets. It's really, if we can figure out how to buy these assets without liability, like say with lease options or doing subject twos, I think it's a great market if you can find somebody to pay the cash flow.
So basically have someone cover the note until the market.
Yeah, because when it recovers, it's going to recover really fast. And if we don't have a lot of liability in it, then it's not a bad thing. That's not a bad plan. Lease options are great for capturing.
So for you guys that are out there looking at subject to properties, that right there is gold mine. What Ray just told you is to give you an option to go out there and lock a lot of stuff up, and even if you're not making a lot of money on it, we can say that there are certain neighborhoods that are going to appreciate, and they're going to appreciate rapidly.
Right.
It's just right now we're going through a little bit of a slowdown. There's speculation that the market's going to completely crash. What do you think about that? What are the numbers telling you?
I don't think so.
No.
I think oil price is going to stabilize. That was probably the first thing I looked at, is I wanted to get a sense of what the experts think is going on. There's no way I can be an expert on that. So I just reached out to who I thought the experts were, and they're saying anywhere that oil could be down to $20 a barrel up to $200 a barrel. Legitimate experts are saying that, but the majority of people are saying that it's going to stabilize. If we can stabilize around $50 or $60 a barrel, then that's going to be a good thing for us. The rig count's going up. It's not going down. The oil prices tend to be stabilizing right now. So that works good for us. And I think that our Houston economy can more closely match the United States economy, which the United States economy is doing real good. One of the things we looked at is I looked at the economy in San Antonio, the economy in Houston, one in Dallas, and one in Austin. And Austin and Dallas follow the United States economy. San Antonio and Houston follow the Texas economy, or the oil-based economy. And Dallas is strong right now. Austin is strong. San Antonio is strong, and nobody knows why, because they should be worse than Houston. And then Houston is stabilizing. So, there our days on market are going up. What happened is basic law of economics. If the supply goes up, the price will go down.
Yeah.
If the people stop moving in and there stops being a demand, then we have a problem. Millennials, that's the big home buyers out there. They're not buying yet.
Yeah, they're busy catching Pokemon right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks a lot, millennials, for ruining our economy.
Get to work.
Get out there and buy a house already.
So what metrics do you look at when you're trying to figure out like you're talking about the economy? And
Right.
what metrics fall into that to know if the economy here in Houston is doing good or bad?
So like with Houston, we want to know if there's jobs here, what the employment rate's going to be. Our growth has been off the charts high forever. And as long as it was high, we could anybody could buy something and sell it and make a profit. Everybody looked like a genius.
Because there was a lot of demand.
Yeah. It didn't matter how dumb you were going to make money. But now we need to pay attention. That's the only thing I'm saying is now let's start paying attention.
Yeah.
You start going through these numbers, things start jumping out and say, look, that's an area I want in the upcoming year. I get something in there, I'm all in. Another area, I want to really be a don't wanter, because as don't wanters, we get our best deals.
Yeah.
So be a don't wanter in those areas that are risky, and then those deals will still fall in their lap, but at numbers we can live with.
That's right. So let's talk about some areas maybe that we should avoid. Do you have any of those?
Well, for me, I would avoid woodlands unless I get in at a good price. All these 10, if you look at these, they all have a common thread, and it's the price.
Yeah.
Like, for example, the Rice Military Washington corridor, down 6% year over year. Over 5 years is up 31%. It's basically the same as the woodlands. So the high end stuff, as long as you can beat your competition, you always win.
Yeah.
So in other words, as rehabbers, we want to look at these houses, these high end houses, which I've seen the work y'all guys do, and I'm totally blown away by it. You just have to be. It's like the two guys that are running from the bear, right? And the rule is you're not running
a little faster.
Yeah, you just have to run faster than the guy that's running with you, right? So that's just be a good competitor. Just find out what the market's doing, and if your budget was to be equal to theirs, say your budget's 100,000 and it's to be equal with theirs, change that. Now it's got to be 130 or 140, and then do the numbers still.
Or you got to price it more aggressily.
Yeah,
one
right.
or the other.
But you got to either buy it right or you got to fix it up better, right? So the high end stuff we want to be careful with.
So Washington's slowing down a little bit.
Rice Military Washington corridor.
People normally wouldn't know that, because people normally think, hey, it's Washington, it's the Washington area. Everyone wants to live there. They want to live next to all the awesome nightlife and stuff. So what else? What else is happening? What else do you see?
Well, and just a little bit off track, but we had a partner on a deal once, and he asked me a question, and I like numbers. I'm a numbers person, and I didn't know the answer, and it's like I was dumbfounded. And he said, we had a property, the renter was moving out, and he just asked a simple question. He said, Ray, should we keep it or sell it? And this is about 3 or 4 years ago, or 3 or 4 years before the Exxon thing started getting worked on. But we knew it was coming in, and this happened to be in that area. So then I said, well, actually, I guess it boils down to what are we going to make most money doing? And so we had to look at what's going to happen with that subdivision. And then I went in and I started looking at this, and I realized that subdivision is going to go up in value, because we look at the days on market, we look at the active listings and the pending listings. That creates a hotness ratio.
Yeah.
Anything over 50% is a buy sign for us. So that subdivision had a hotness ratio of 200%.
So what he's talking about, guys, are the details when you're pulling up an entire subdivision and looking at the amount of active property versus the amount of pendings. And is that what am I guessing right there?
Yeah.
So generally you want to stay away from a neighborhood that has a ton of actives and just a few pendings. Isn't that about right?
And a simple way to think about it is if an area has 400 actives and 4 actives and 4 pendings, that hotness ratio is 100%, because it's being consumed at the same rate it's being supplied.
Awesome. So we're going to get into a little more detail. Sorry to cut you off, Ray, but we got a couple commercials to get to. We'll be right back, and we're going to talk some more about these awesome details on buying and selling houses.
We'll be back.
Hey Houston, this is Alan Hernandez, and I want to remind you guys to visit our friends over at Quest IRA to learn everything there is to learn about investing with your IRA. Now, if you haven't been over there recently, you have to check them out. They have free educational classes, networking opportunities, the ability to tap into $1 billion for your real estate investing deals. These are the guys to know when it comes to learning about this kind of stuff. You want to make sure you visit them and check them out over at www.questira.com. Again, that's questira.com.
Hey everyone, this is David over at White Picket Realty, and I wanted to tell you about my friends over at Plans Express, who can save you the headache of running your own permits. These guys are committed to offering a one-stop solution for all your plan and permit needs. They're proudly serving their friends and neighbors in the Houston surrounding areas, and they offer great service and an exceptional value. With dedicated professionals ready to serve, contact them today at 832-675-6217.
Hey, Houston real estate agents. This is Alan Hernandez, broker at White Picket Realty. I want to let you know that when you're ready to stop working your real estate career and start building a real estate business, Team WPR is a place to be. Not only do we offer real results, real support, and real branding, but furthermore, 80 to 100% commissions of your hard-earned money going back to you. So make sure you reach out to us. Join at teamwpr.com. Again, that's join, JOIN, at teamwpr.com.
Hey everyone, this is David with the House Flipping Network. And if you're like a lot of people, you're probably daydreaming right now about getting to fire your boss. Let me tell you about an exciting opportunity for you to do just that. If you've been looking to get into real estate investing or flipping homes, the House Flipping Network provides coaching and consultation services for people looking to grow a real estate investment business. If you're interested in more information, please reach out to me at david@houseflippingnetwork.com.
And we are back on the Realty Ruckus. Remember, if you want to ask questions or make comments, you can tweet us at Realty Ruckus. That's at Realty Ruckus. You can also comment on Facebook or on YouTube. And we are back with Ray Sassar, and he's given us a lot of really, really good data-driven information. So this isn't just speculation. A lot of times you'll talk to people and they say, oh, I think the market's getting hot or the market's getting cold, but they don't really have anything to back that up. And today we have just pure data-driven numbers information that's telling us where to invest, where not to invest, how to invest, and where to put money and where not to put money.
Yeah, and we want to get into the topic of just investing and what it looks, what these numbers mean for single family homes in today's market for the regular investor, the guy that's buying. I want to say most investors nowadays may buy between 4 and 10 houses a year,
Right.
something like that.
Right.
That's your mid-level investor, your guy that's probably already done his first flip and failed miserably at one of them, and maybe continues to do them.
Right.
So what do these numbers mean for that guy? What do you think overall the market's going to do here in let's say the next year or so?
We subscribe to this theory, and I think most knowledgeable investors kind of subscribe to this. There's a line where management crosses and income comes in, and the amount of effort we have to put into doing something and our return on our investment. So for example, if we buy like a $30,000 house and then owner finance it, that's a really good model. But if you were to rent that house, then it would be a management headache.
Mm-hmm.
Same with renting a $250,000 or $350,000 house. On the $30,000 house, our cash flow is really good. Our rent ratio is maybe 1% or 1.5%. On a $250,000 house, our rent ratio is like 0.7 or 0.6. So our return on our investment is very low, and the management is also very high on a high-end house and a low-end house. So there's a middle ground. A lot of investors think that's around 100,000, 150,000. I think it's in that range, maybe 80,000. So that's a sweet spot. So if I'm looking to go to your question for property for rentals, and I want to buy the 4 or 5 or 10 houses, and my goal is to hold on to them, then I want to be in that area where it's not a lot of management intensive, where I'm dealing with people who know how to flip a breaker and plunge their own commode. So I want to put as much of that burden on them. When we look at our Schedule E on our tax return at the end of the year, you look at the amount of rent you got, and you look at the amount of expenses. And if you're babysitting somebody in a house, and that's what, we buy houses because we're not managing apartments. We're not having a maintenance man living on site that somebody has to drive across town. So we want to put that burden on the occupant as much as possible. And that price range is just that price range. In Houston, that price range is still kicking butt.
Yeah.
So, and the bottom line is, the closer you are to strong work centers and closer you are to downtown, just generally the better you are. You can't build a $100,000 house.
No.
It's just not possible to build it. And if you were to just look at lot values and start at 610 in the Galleria, the lot values are 350 to 400,000. You keep going out. Somewhere around Katy, you get to lot values that will allow you to build a $250,000 house. So the further you go out, the nicer and newer the house is. But what if you don't have that? What if you have that $100,000 house that's in between there?
Yeah.
Which there's lots of those kind of subdivisions. To me, those are gold mines. And if we have good strategies to buy, like lease options or subject twos or institutional financing, which is a really good way to buy the first 4 or 10 houses, then that's good. And close-in areas are good for that segment.
In that price range.
Yeah, in that price range. And just good neighborhoods, good school districts. You just can't go wrong with a 3.2 or 4.2. It's just you don't have to be smart. You just have to try to find them and work and knock on a lot of doors.
Yeah. Don't you love it when you get an email from a wholesaler or a realtor and they're selling you like a $300,000 house and say, it's going to be a great rental.
Yeah.
And you're like, what's so great about that?
Yeah.
I'm going to make no money on it.
Right. For a long time.
Thanks a lot for that. So go ahead.
Well, as far as like rentals go, and I don't know if you actually got the data on this for your report, but do we see rental going up, like the rates that people are paying for rentals, or is it going down overall? How does that look?
And we looked at that a little bit. My primary focus of this group meeting was to look at areas as far as like what they're doing in values, because that's the $64,000 question. What's happening in the values?
Sure.
But we do look at that data. We also, what I always use as a benchmark for that is what the apartment data is telling us. So I tend to want to look at that because my real focus is residential houses, but the apartments my competition. And there's a lot of apartments coming online that are Class A type apartments, and so those vacancy rates are going up on the high end stuff. On the C and D, they're not going up; they're staying solid. So that's good for us. Yeah. And then also, my $600 rental house may not be the greatest house next to a $600 apartment. It looks like the Taj Mahal. Yeah. Right. So that's my competition. So that's my bench as a landlord. My thought process is, can I beat the apartments? Can I outrun the bear? Yeah. And you always can with a house. So as long as it's close in, what we're seeing is that those rentals in the $1,000, $1,200, $1,300 range. What's your competition? To get the same features somewhere else, you either got to move further out and get a house further out, or you got to get an apartment. An apartment won't. So the rents, and that's what happened in 2007. When we had the subprime market meltdown, I still remember the headline. When we had that headline, all our houses stopped selling. It was almost like somebody just said, "Hey, stop buying Ray's houses." But our rentals never changed. Yeah, our rent prices stayed the same. So as long as we're in strong areas and good areas and we're competitive, I don't see our rent dropping down. If our employment numbers really do start dropping down and people, we had 100,000 or 80,000 people move in to this town a couple of years ago. Last year, it was like 15,000 or 20,000. It was the lowest ever. If that goes negative, then
we may see some rents drop.
But I don't see that in the near term.
Now let's talk about some of the people that are out there flipping. I know you're still actively flipping. Yeah. We're still actively flipping. What does someone who's getting into flipping right now have to look out for?
The first thing I'd look in my belief system, there's the due diligence is the responsibility of the investor. So if you don't learn anything else, learn due diligence, because that's not up to a realtor. It's like asking your contractor what your finish is going to be in a house. That's
people ridiculous. Do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's when you look at the house.
Amazes me that people do that.
Yeah. You walk the house afterwards, you're like, who made these choices? These are horrible.
Right.
The contractor's all proud. Yeah. I picked them all.
It's like, I picked all the tile and everything.
Yeah. That's all the purple tile they had. I got so there's, when it comes to due diligence, that's something that we have to learn. You have to go to whoever's teaching that, and you got to know it. And just like non-conforming, know how to do comps. All of us at this table have probably done thousands and thousands of comps. I mean, I live on the computer doing comps before we make a buy decision. And things we want to look at is look at active sales to pending sales. That tells you if it's hot. Yeah. Okay. If it's hot, then yes, I'm in. If it's not hot, then we want a better deal. Right.
Yeah. You'll still be in, but you just got to buy it.
The point he's saying is don't go out there and buy an 80 or 85% loan to value deal in a neighborhood that has 1,000 actives and 2 pendings, because what will happen is that neighborhood will more than likely have to decrease in value before all of those properties sell. And I made a post about this a few months ago. I don't know if you remember. Okay. And there was a ton of people on that post that hadn't ever thought about that, and they were in the business. Yeah. And that was that's just one thing that we look at when we're buying a house. But I couldn't believe how many people were actually out there buying and paying no mind to that.
Right.
So, all right. So if I'm getting into the business right now and I say, hey, Ray, what neighborhoods should I buy in right now? Where should I go out and throw some marketing dollars into? What are you thinking?
If we're doing flips where we're buying. Is it buy, rehab, and
Yeah, we're gonna
sell, or
flip.
just buying?
We're gonna go out there and flip a few houses, raise
Okay.
some money.
So if it's flip or rental, it'd be two different. I'd go about it two different ways. Rentals, I'm not so worried about the short term stuff, but the flips, I'm really worried about it. So if it's a flip, I'm looking at what my competition's doing. What we do is we'll pull up the listings, the active listings. And I want to know, I look at the photos of those active listings and I look at the photos of the sold listings and take your values, segment the solds into like three categories, at least three categories. You know, the basically nothing being done or distress sale, to a little bit being done or well kept, to like off the charts rehab. So when you look at a subdivision, just have those three kind of categories in your head, place them in that category. If I'm shooting for, say, the top category, because sometimes we don't shoot for the top category,
right.
But if I'm shooting for the top category, then look at what's being done. Look at those photos, have your contractor with you there. If you don't know this, have somebody there that knows what it costs to get that house to look like that. Now we have an estimate. And if I can beat my competition, I'm buying.
Yeah.
Okay. And sometimes I can't. Like I looked at some of your houses, Alan. I'm not going to compete with you. I mean, I'm not going to lose that.
Hey,
fight.
that's a compliment coming from Ray Sassar.
That's a big compliment.
That's awesome, man. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So I won't do that. But if the competition's weak, I'm going to be all over them. And
Yeah.
I'm going to put something out there better than what they got. Now, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, we didn't have to beat the competition. We just had to have something out there. Like if right now, in the last probably 4 months, 5 months, we've sold 3 houses in the Deer Park area. The houses, that's one of the hottest areas right now, year over year. You don't have to do anything there. Just buy it
resell.
and put it on the market.
Yeah, actually, we just closed on a house this week. We bought it as is. We're cleaning it up.
Right.
Literally just clean. It's got green carpet.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you,
Green's coming back.
I'm going to tell you how we're getting ready to make some money on this thing, some good money on it. And we probably paid more than most investors would, and we're still going to make money on it.
Good.
We're going to give you guys some insight on that here as soon as we get back.
Okay.
Hey Houston, this is Alan Hernandez, and I want to remind you guys to visit our friends over at Quest IRA to learn everything there is to learn about investing with your IRA. Now, if you haven't been over there recently, you have to check them out. They have free educational classes, networking opportunities, the ability to tap into $1 billion for your real estate investing deals. These are the guys to know when it comes to learning about this kind of stuff. You want to make sure you visit them and check them out over at www.questira.com. Again, that's questira.com.
Hey everyone, this is David over at White Picket Realty, and I wanted to tell you about my friends over at Plans Express, who can save you the headache of running your own permits. These guys are committed to offering a one-stop solution for all your plan and permit needs. They're proudly serving their friends and neighbors in the Houston surrounding areas, and they offer great service at an exceptional value. With dedicated professionals ready to serve, contact them today at 832-675-6217.
Hey, Houston real estate agents. This is Alan Hernandez, broker at White Picket Realty. I want to let you know that when you're ready to stop working your real estate career and start building a real estate business, Team WPR is a place to be. Not only do we offer real results, real support, and real branding, but furthermore, 80 to 100% commissions of your hard-earned money going back to you. So make sure you reach out to us. Join at teamwpr.com. Again, that's join, JOIN, at teamwpr.com.
Hey everyone, this is David with the House Flipping Network, and if you're like a lot of people, you're probably daydreaming right now about getting to fire your boss. Let me tell you about an exciting opportunity for you to do just that. If you've been looking to get into real estate investing or flipping homes, the House Flipping Network provides coaching and consultation services for people looking to grow a real estate investment business. If you're interested in more information, please reach out to me at david@houseflippingnetwork.com.
And we are back on the Realty Ruckus. Today we've had guest Ray Sassar in, and he's given us a really good sneak peek at the data that he'll be presenting later today at an event. And we're just really, really happy to have him here. That was
this
great
was
information.
A phenomenal chance and opportunity to sit down and literally listen about all of the research that you've done. And we talked about, some of the areas that you want to get into for flipping, for holding, some of the areas that you want to stay away. And I'm assuming tonight you're actually going to give all the details on that, all the little nitty gritty details.
Yeah, we'll go through.
Is it a 2-hour presentation tonight?
I hope not. Nobody wants to hear that for 2 hours. What happens on this is my job will be to create confusion and chaos, and then my job will be done.
There you go.
Whatever I can do.
So your email can be flooded tomorrow.
Yeah, it's mostly a networking meeting, but this report will be available. If y'all guys want it, we'll make it available.
We definitely want a copy of it. And in fact, we probably need to have you on the show at least one more time, because I know there's still a lot of questions that I have. Our viewers more than likely have a ton of questions. I see that somebody is on there. And if there's any other questions we can answer for you guys, don't be afraid to put them on there, because we want to answer them for you. Now, I talked to you guys a little bit about what we're doing in one of the neighborhoods, and I'll just cover that shortly because I know I mentioned that before the break. We're getting ready to close, or we closed on a house in a neighborhood where we listed a house about 4 weeks ago as is, and got 20 showings and 12 offers in like a matter of 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
So then we get an email from one of our friends over at Refuge, and they're selling a house, and it's above what normal investors would pay and whatnot. But I look at it, and all it really needs is just a cleaning up, and we're getting ready to toss that thing on the market. And it made me, I remember thinking when you mentioned, well, if you know the market, you can do some cool stuff. That's what we're doing because we know the market, we know that there's such a high demand in this area that we can pretty much just throw something up there, and as long as it's livable and clean, somebody's going to buy it, and we're going to make money on it.
Yeah, and it gives you a competitive advantage.
Absolutely.
You have insider information.
Yeah.
The other lesson is we're never the boss. The market's the boss.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go out there thinking you're the boss and you're going to set up the rules and define them, you're going to get your
and that's a lesson that we've had to learn in the long run. I think most investors have to learn it as they go, because they want to go in and they want to paint every house the same color. They want to put the same details on every one of them. They want to finish them all out amazingly. And as much as we like to do it, we love to go into a house and tear it down to the studs and just go all out on it. As much as that's fun for us, and that's really our favorite part of this business, we realize that there's also other opportunities by not doing that. And when you understand the market, and the market tells you and dictates to you exactly what it wants, what it will take to sell, if you follow those rules, you make money.
Right.
If you go against them, then sometimes you run into scenarios where you lose the money, and that's where people start getting a little bit upset. Let's talk about some of the cool stuff that's happening. I know we're coming towards an end.
I know we had a couple of questions.
Do we have some questions that we want to answer?
Let's knock out those questions real quick.
Oh yeah, well, one of our House Flipping Network members, Brandon, he asked, let's see, what does a savvy investor do to a house that flooded twice in less than a year? Do you stay away completely?
You go ahead. I'll tell you my story.
Okay. Yeah. And I think it was Allison, we bought in one neighborhood 12 or 13 houses, and then the very next year they flooded again. And there was a couple of major lessons that Ray Sassar learned that I'll never forget. I'll take to my grave with me. One is that, and I had a lot of experience buying fire damage houses, but I didn't realize how much flood damage devastates people's lives. There's a lot of guys out there that buy flood houses and fix them up every year after they flood. I don't want to be in that market. I want to be in the market where somebody comes up to me 25 years later, like it's really happened, and said, thank you, my mom and dad. You gave them a chance to buy a house. They wouldn't have bought it otherwise. We grew up in that house. And you get that kind of feedback. You love it. But when you see somebody's life devastated, then don't do it. To me, the other lesson too was that, and this is worth whatever they're paying to listen. I don't know what that is, probably nothing. But this is worth a lot of money if you hear what I'm about to say. When we bought those houses after Allison, 1 year later, and the reason I know this is because I got into a knockdown, drag out fight with the city appraisers because we were selling the properties back to the city because they wanted to clear the land. 100% of those houses got back up to 100% of their value 1 year later.
Okay.
And that meant that I was buying these things for 40 cents on the dollar, doing 10 to 15 cents on the dollar in repairs. And then I had something worth 100% of it of value before the flood. That's pretty mind blowing.
So by your experience, it'll take about a year for the stigma to go away.
Yeah. Now we went to New Orleans to buy a lot of flood houses after Katrina but the ratio of flood houses to non-flooded houses was so high, the percentage was so high, we felt like it wouldn't recover in a year.
Yeah.
And it turned out we were right, so we didn't buy those houses. But I wouldn't be afraid of a flood house, but my rule now is if I can't fix it, then I don't buy it, or if it's a one-time flood.
Yeah.
So for example, like after Ike, those are one-time floods because they were storm surge floods.
Mhm.
You know, it's whenever a hurricane may come like that again every 50 years, 100 years.
Mhm.
So we'll buy those houses. But if they're in areas that can't be fixed or they're in flood zones.
So if it's
we
a
don't
house
buy.
that continuously gets flooded,
Yeah.
you may stay away
Yeah.
from that.
Now, if you had a case like what you were telling me where it's not in a flood zone, I don't know what you do. And my thinking is you hold on to it because even though they say they're going to fix it, it's going to be a long time. I don't know what to do. I mean, I might explore the expatriate deal. I might explore Airbnbs. I might-
Hey, look at that.
I might try to make those things work. You know, having a house that's furnished has incredible value, and the numbers can look pretty good. You might even be able to do better than you would as a rental. Let it stabilize. Let them fix whatever the engineering issue is, and 5 or 7 years later, you'll have something even more valuable.
Look at that, BB. It looks like we're not as dumb as we think.
Yeah, I felt good actually. I was a little surprised.
Coming from an expert. Well, we really appreciate you being on here, Ray. Let's talk about some of the events that we have coming up. First of all, your event is tonight, so we want to make sure that people know about it. That's at Carbach Brewery. What time does that start?
That's from 5:30 to 8:30. We expect 200 to 300 people to be there.
Yep.
So try to get there early. And that's at 2032 Carbach Street, Houston.
There you go. So go out there, have a beer. Ray is buying, and he'll tell you all about what the market's doing and some other details on what you should probably be avoiding. Today is also Amazon Prime Day. Do we have any good deals that we can go out there and buy?
Let's see what we have for the realtors and investors out there.
I still remember Amazon Prime Day last year.
Amazon Prime Day is amazing.
It was like a clearance of all the junk that nobody would ever want.
I think this year's a little bit better. They have their Amazon tablets. They're $33 today.
Oh,
That's
wow.
pretty cool.
That's a good deal.
Apple and Android power banks. I know people out there on the run, doing real estate investing, playing Pokemon Go, whatever may be draining their battery. They have power banks on sale for $7 a day.
Look at
That's a
that.
good deal too.
Yeah, also GoPros. I know a lot of people doing video. Obviously, we're big into that, and as well as the athletic shoe sale. They have a lot of running shoes, especially if you're runners.
Check out Amazon Prime, guys. It sounds like they're our sponsors now, man. We're like promoting them. What other events do we have coming up? We got to talk about some of those.
Well, tomorrow is a patent law firm, Texas American Title. They're doing their El Big, I think is what they're
El
calling
Big
it.
Fiesta.
El Big Fiesta over at Cadillac Bar and Grill off of I-10 in Shepherd.
Yeah.
And that's going to be, I've been told that they're going to have Lucha Libre.
They're gonna have.
They're going to
have midgets doing lucha libre style wrestling while playing in the mud and doing body shots. That's what I heard.
Yeah. I didn't hear all of that. I heard pieces of it before.
Alan,
but
you making some of that?
It's just what I imagine in my head. That's what I hope I walk into.
That look on your face, like, why would I make that up?
But I think it's like a $10 that the donation goes to the hospital.
Yeah, MD Anderson.
MD
Cancer
Anderson,
Center,
yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, so it's $10 and then you get free food, free drinks, and you get to hang out. And they have a live mariachi. They are going to have actually lucha libre wrestlers there. So you're definitely going to want to go to that event. And then next week, or not next week, I think it's on the 26th.
Yeah, on the
Capital
26th.
Concepts has their monthly mixing event. So
Yeah, and that's going to be at LaGrange at 2517 Ralph, Houston, Texas 77006.
That event is next Tuesday, and that's
no, that's on the 26th.
the 26th.
Yeah, let me
Okay.
see when that is exactly.
and that's the deal where you sit down with people and
It's like a speed networking.
Speed
yeah,
networking,
yeah,
that's
it's
what
just so
it's
you can
called.
get
Yeah,
out
it's
and
2 weeks from
meet
now.
people, increase your network.
very cool. And there's some good people to go out there and meet, definitely. And that's a really nice place to go to. What else do we have? Do we have any other events coming up? That's the 26th. I want to make sure that everyone knows about NAREP's big event. If you guys haven't heard of that, we have some of the absolute top people in the country coming into town, as well as some of the best local realtors, talking all about how to build your team. And so that's a big deal right now. If you're a realtor out there and you haven't actually thought about growing your business, then it's time for you to start doing so. And make sure you join us We're going to be setting everything up and making sure that you guys have a phenomenal time at this event. There is an entry fee. Check out the details on my page as well as NAREP, and you'll get all of the info there. But make sure you reserve the date right now. It's July 28th. It's an evening event. Come out there, have a good time. We're going to have everything for you: food, drinks. All you need to do is come out there and bring something to write with, because we're going to be teaching you guys all about growing your business this year. If you're a realtor, if you're a loan officer, all we want to do is help your business grow. And we're bringing the absolute top people here into one space, which is Gallery Furniture, who's our sponsor on that, to tell you all about it. Any other events we have coming? I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that's it as far as I can see.
Don't forget the August 9th happy hour, White Picket happy hour.
Next
Make
month.
sure you guys reserve your time for that. Guys, thank you very much for joining us for Realty Ruckus. Ray Sassar, thank you for stopping by. It was phenomenal. We want to have you on again. We want to talk some more details on buying and selling houses. Until next time, we will see you.
This has been the Realty Ruckus. Make sure and join us every Tuesday and Friday for new episodes. Find us on YouTube and Facebook for replays of previous episodes. And as always, keep elevating yourself and keep up your ruckus. Thanks for listening. Realty Ruckus has been brought to you by Smart Pig Media Productions.